Hello everybody, my name is Thabang and I discuss all things career, education as well as development. Welcome to the first episode of Lessons and Truth. In this segment of my YouTube channel, we'll be getting a bit more personal. So you will be joining me as well as my glass of green tea and we'll be sharing all things personal from an education as well as career perspective. So I'll be sharing more of these things and letting you know more of my experiences as well as things that I have learned and how they may also work out for you. Without wasting any further time, let's get straight to it. I decided to put on my glasses because I'm struggling to see myself on the camera and my eyes move around a lot. So to avoid all of that, let me just put on my glasses. Okay, let us start. So today I want us to discuss what is the so-called useless qualification. You know how you have seen recently on social media whereby people are actually sharing their thoughts and opinions a lot about whether what you studied or the qualification that you have or rather thinking of studying is useless or not. Here's my take on it. I feel like useless is a very harsh word. I do not believe in such a word in this context. But my take is understanding what is in demand and what is not in demand. So if you want to look at your qualification, you can look at it in that sense as to whether is your qualification in demand or is it not. Not the word useless. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, let me just share my story with you on this topic. So just to give you a brief background, I unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, I was one of those kids in high school that had no idea what they wanted to study once they finished high school. All my peers knew what they wanted to study. We would share as to what we are going to study once we finish matric and so on. But for me, on my side, I had no clue. I had no idea. And in high school, I did science. So I went the science route. So I did your physical science, mathematics, life sciences, tourism and geography. Yeah, those were my subjects and I hated it. I hated science with everything in me. I still hate it even to this day. But yeah, no, like I said, like most of the choices that I made back then were mostly influenced based. They were not really choices that I made for myself. And for me to end up taking science in high school, it was mostly because of my parents, because they thought that I'll be a woman in STEM. And unfortunately, I despised it. But either way, I completed my matric, passed with distinctions, and moved over to tertiary. And I think I may not have known what I wanted to become, but I had an idea. I think the only thing that I knew that I want to do, or the only thing that I knew that I loved, was that I love helping people. I love working with people. I love solving problems that have to do with people. And I love making people's lives easier. That's literally it. That's the only thing that I knew. But I just didn't have a label for it, or I just didn't know how to make a career out of that. I did apply for some courses, but most of the things that I applied for were honestly just influence from my parents, as well as suggestions from my parents that maybe consider studying this, consider studying that. But for me personally, I had no idea. So after high school, I applied for different courses. I think at the time I applied for law at one institution and I had applied for medicine at UFS. Yeah, I think those are the courses that I applied for. And I think I also applied for psychology. You see how all those three courses are different? Just to show you that I literally had no idea. I was just taking whatever advice I got at the time. Now, here I am, done with matric. I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what to study. And I was like, you know what? I'm apply for everything, whatever institution takes me, whatever course that they take me for, I will run with it. Then I got accepted at the University of Johannesburg, and I studied what people label as a useless qualification. I did a degree in public management and governance, both undergrad as well as postgrad. That's where the drama starts. Got into the program, chose my modules, and I ran with it. I think when I got to varsity, it was the first time whereby I was at peace with what I was studying. Because remember, I did mention that in high school, I hated the subjects that I was doing. So when I got to varsity, I finally found something that I really enjoyed doing. I loved the modules, I loved the work, I loved the theoretical part of it. I just enjoyed everything about what I was studying. And then, you know, the comments that come from people, and they will ask you, what are you studying? Or what are you planning to study? And you know, people, guys, people will be people. There'll always be comments about, oh, what are you going to become once you're done studying? Oh my word, you are wasting your time. What is that qualification going to do for you? And so on and so on. For me, I'm very good at shutting down the noise. I will ignore you and your comments, and I will do what I'm doing, because I feel like I listened to people a lot as a teenager. I will not do that as an adult. I think I'm content with whatever that I'm doing, and if I'm wrong, then God will redirect me. That's just how it is for me. Fine. So I did that, and I studied that, and finished my undergrad, got a job, went to my postgrad, finished my postgrad, and also continued with my career. Now, this is where I think it is difficult for most people, and this is the purpose of the video. If you ever find yourself in a position whereby you studied something, but you're not really sure how you can use it to make it work for you, here's what I did. Now, please note that this strategy is a strategy that worked for me. It might not work for you, but maybe there is something that you might learn from it. So here's what I did. I looked at my qualification and tried to understand what is it in detail. That is point number one. Number two, what does it consist of? Number three, what opportunities lie ahead with all these elements that are within the qualification? So, you know, each and every qualification, it has different modules, right? For example, the one that I was studying, there were different modules that one could select. There was economics, there was business management, human resource management, information and knowledge management, public finance once you get to postgrad, and so on. I forgot the others, but that's just a glimpse of what it had. So I focused on all these modules. I didn't focus necessarily on the name of the qualification. For me, my focus was on the modules, because with the institution that I was in, if I did a module for 3-4 years, from 1A to 3B, that's 3-4 years, I am able to do a postgrad for that module. For example, I'll just give an example. If I did business management from first year, second year, and third year, I was able to do a postgrad in business management, which will open doors to other modules. I hope we get that part. I focused a lot on the modules that I was doing, and I just refrained from focusing on the name of the qualification, because a qualification is made up of modules. Get it? So I looked at what I was doing, and I was like, one, Human resource management, I did that. Cool. Public finance, I did that. Research, did that. Economics, did that. What else? Information management, did that. And please take note, this is both undergrad as well as postgrad. I'm combining the two now. So I've been exposed to all those things. When I started my job search, I felt like, okay, this is time. I need to start looking for a job. I looked for jobs that were exposed or that required the modules that I was doing. At the time, I was mainly focusing on internships, graduate programs, or entry-level roles. And I did look into the ones that required the full qualification, but I didn't end it there. I also looked into the ones that required the modules that I did because I studied the modules. I know the foundations of the specific module, so why not? I planned out my entire job search. I did a full breakdown of my modules. I had an Excel spreadsheet, and in my Excel spreadsheet, I had all the modules that I was doing. Row number 1 was economics. These are the careers that I can apply for or branch into for economics. Number 2, I had human resource management. I listed all the careers under that. Number 3, I had public finance. I listed all the modules under that. 4, I had information and knowledge management. I listed all the careers under that. And then the last one, I think it was research, as well as project management. I listed all the careers under that as well. So now I'm not necessarily just applying for roles that require a public management or public administration or public governance. I'm applying for roles that require someone that knows human resource management, someone that knows information management. And that was a way of me to broaden my options, to strategize, and to be able to stand out more and to be able to get more opportunities. The second thing that I did, now I have 5 rows of different careers, and it was a lot. Like, there were different career options for each of the modules. I explored the different institutions that I personally would like to work for, and also the different institutions that hire people that are exposed to these modules, or that have studied these modules. Someone might say that, but how are you applying for a human resource management role whereas you only studied it as a module and not as a qualification itself? You can. I personally, I am a witness of that. I've done it multiple times. It has worked multiple times. You can, guys, you can. So don't limit yourself by just the name of your qualification. Sometimes a module, it can push you to get that internship or that graduate program or that entry-level role with just the module that you did. In my strategy, I have 5 rows of different career paths, as well as different roles within it. Let's just say within each of the different modules, let's say I placed 5 different roles. So that's 5 multiplied by 5, that's 25. So I had like 25 different roles to apply for, all of them entry level. 25 different roles. And on top of the 25 different roles that I could possibly or potentially apply for, I researched on the different institutions that also could offer these roles. Then that's where my career started. That's where my job search started. Now, if you're wondering how can you come up or find out more about these different roles within each different qualification or module, research, guys. You can do it the normal way. Go to Google, research about the possible qualification, and in every website of every institution, whatever qualification that they are offering, they will tell you what a person who studied this qualification can typically become this, and that. So you can start with that. Use that as a start. Go to your departments in your institution. Find out more as to what type of careers lie ahead. Talk to your tutors. Talk to your lecturers and your professors. They'll be able to guide you on the different options and the different things that you can explore. Another method that I used was LinkedIn. Okay, at this point, you're tired of hearing me talk about LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is my fighter. LinkedIn works if you know how to use it. It works. What you can do is research. Go on LinkedIn and search for people that have studied a qualification similar to yours and look at what they're doing. Look at their titles, look at their positions. That will give you an idea of the possible careers to look out for, the possible jobs to apply for, the possible roles to explore. It may sound like stalking, but it's stalking for a good cause, guys. It's not that bad, right? So that's just another tip that I used, and also it might work for you also. Go on LinkedIn and search. You'll be surprised by the number of options or different career paths that you come across based on what you studied. Okay, now I know how to use my qualification. 2, I know the opportunities that lie ahead. Now here comes the third point, knowing what you want. I knew based on the different options that I had what I wanted. I knew that, okay, these top 3, these are my top 3. And then the last 2, I'm not really crazy about them, but it's fine. I'll also explore them. And also with institutions, it's important to know where you would love to see yourself. For me, I knew that as a start out, I knew that I wanted to start in public sector. That's one thing I knew. I knew that, okay, yes, I'd love to explore other sectors, but I think government is my first priority. And I ran with that. And by the grace of God, or fortunately so, the first internship that I got was in government. So, and government was also part of the institutions that I had in my strategy. Remember when I said research on the different institutions that could be able to accommodate you. So knowing what you want and where you see yourself is also important. The 4th point that I want to raise is that now that you know yourself and you know where you see yourself, know how to structure your CV, guys. I honestly feel like a lot of people miss out on opportunities because of small mistakes that they may make in their CVs. Yes, before you come for me, yes, I know job search is difficult. It is not easy. The job market is very saturated, and unemployment rate is very high in our country at the moment. But either or, we do not give up on looking for jobs if you are in the job market. So work on your CV. For me personally, the way I would write my CV, even now, the way I write my CV for a job in public sector is completely different from how I write my CV for private sector. It might not be necessarily important for some people, but for me it's important because for me, how I saw myself is important. I think it's a lot of things that I say in my TikTok videos, that be able to sell yourself to the potential hiring manager or company that you're trying to approach. So if I'm looking for a role in private sector, I will articulate myself differently from if I was looking a role in the public sector. I can give a very basic example. You know, in public sector, there are common things that they look out for. I'll start with the obvious one. You need to know certain principles, but to principles, you need to know the different legislations. If they say PFMA, you need to know it by heart. You need to explain it by heart. If they say MFMA, you need to know it. And honestly, your CV needs to at least touch on those things. So that's just an example, one of the examples that I can give. That if I were to, at the time when I was applying for roles in public sector, my CV would scream public sector. If I was applying for a role in private, my CV would literally shout private. So take note of those small things. They worked for me, they still work for me even now, and I think they would also work for you. Part of my strategy, once again, is also something that I did that also worked for me, and that maybe it might, maybe not, it might not work for you, is supporting your qualification. So in whatever module that I did, or in whatever module that I studied, I make sure to support it from a professional development sense. That, for example, if I did economics, right? So I would go and expose myself to other courses that are in line with economics. And by other courses, I'm referring to short courses and like online courses, free online courses, guys. Just some of them didn't have to pay, literally free online courses. Okay, I did economics. Now I'm exposing myself to other short courses. I would go online, look up for courses that are aligned to economics and study that, keep the certificate. Did research, I'll do the same thing. Business management, HR, I'd go do a few short courses, free online courses, keep the certificates. What was the point of doing that? It was just for professional development, and also it helped me to increase my chances of being able to sell myself. It also important to support the qualification that I have. To mention that yes, I may have studied this, but it does not end there. I also did spend some time to enhance what I already know, and this is what I did. Yes, online free courses are not accredited, they do not count, but trust me, when you're going for those interviews, when you're writing that CV, it counts. It really counts. It counts in a sense that you are able to articulate that you understand this topic, you understand this role, you understand this career, you understand what it is that is needed of you. Some of the modules that I did, part of a certain model, I think we studied about corporate governance. I remember I went to Ellison online and I looked for courses on corporate governance. I did I think about 2 or 3 courses on corporate governance, understood it, kept the certificate. I kid you not, when I was done with government, I moved into my second role, which was now in the private sector. I moved to management consulting. That course came in handy. It literally came in handy because I was able to answer questions that were related to governance. So that's just some of the things that I did. I did not just do my qualification as like I did my degree, that's it. No, I literally tried every alternative to be able to support my qualification with what I know and how I can make it better. And now, fast forward to now, we're in 2025 and I am content with my career. I think I've explored different options. I've tried different things so that I can be able to be where I am today. Would I ever go back in time and do a different qualification? No, I wouldn't. I love it. I loved it. I still love it. I would definitely study it further because I know how to use it to make it work for me. If there's one thing I want you to take from this video is that whatever qualification you choose to study, or if maybe you've already studied, you are done, make sure that you use your qualification in a way that it will help you to form a foundation for your career. I repeat, make sure that you use your qualification in a way that it will help you to form a foundation for your career. Because at the end of the day, I think we all study so that we can be able to get jobs someday. So why not? So study with the intent that you know how you're going to use this qualification. All the skills you have learned in your qualification, make sure that you are able to use them once you are done studying. And also, just to add on to that, what I want to share with you is that it's important to understand also, as much as you know what you want, know how impactful is it for you. There are people that have studied for certain careers and they hate their jobs. There are people that have studied what people label as fancy degrees and they despise their jobs. You'll hear someone that says, I know of people that will say, yo, Thabang, I studied this course and I'm doing this job. I hate it. I wish I studied something completely different. There are people that study jobs that are like in demand and they're not happy. There are people that are earning real money, like serious money, like big bucks, but they're not happy in terms of purpose. So know what works for you. If you are able to run with a job, get good bucks, get good money for it, but you don't mind about finding your purpose, good for you. Good, happy for you. But if you're like me, you want to be fulfilled in your role, then make sure that you strategize and you try to find something that works for you. Because for me, I may not have known what I wanted to study after I finished high school, but I kid you not, for where I am right now, I'm doing exactly what I had said earlier on. Remember, I mentioned that the only thing I knew was that I want to work with people, solve problems, and make people's lives easier. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. That is just my fair share of lessons, of truth, of experiences, of this so-called topic of a useless qualification. Guys, I do not believe in such. There isn't something called a useless qualification. Once you study something, you need to be able to find ways to make it work for you. If not, and you finally come to the terms that, no, this is not working for me, and you want to explore other options, please go for it. That's why we have career coaches. That's why we have career advisors or career strategists. They are there to guide you, to help you pave a way out for you in terms of your career. Just before I close off this video, if you ever find yourself in a position similar to mine or similar to what we're talking about today, and you are really trying to find ways on how you can make your qualification work for you, maybe try the strategy that I used and see how you go about it and see how it works out for you. If you have tried something completely different, please do let me know. Share your thoughts, guys. Share your experiences and share in the comment section below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. I will see you in my next video. Bye.